When we asked what you wanted to hear more about on this podcast, 51% of you said you wanted to hear more about how to make money with your blog. And so in this episode, I'll share with you 5 ways to make money with your website. Now, to be clear, there are way more than 5 ways to make money with your site, but that would get entirely too long. And we have a super popular blog post. It's gotten over 31,000 shares. It covers over 30 proven ways that you can make money with your website. And I'm sure that that's not even the maximum amount. But I wanted to cover some of the more popular ways that you can get started right now. And then in future episodes, I'll interview some experts who can share even more ways to make money with your website. So let's dive in. Now, with these 5 ways, I'm talking about how to monetize your blog content. And this is a little bit different because what we mean by this is your focus is to create content for your website. So you're going to create a lot of articles and it be more specific to your topic. Hopefully you've already gone through that process. We have a whole tutorial on how to start a blog for your website, and hopefully you've already gotten it set up. You either got our assistance in doing that or you went and followed along one of our tutorials. And now you're creating content with the focus of monetizing it in a certain way. And these are the 5 ways that you can monetize. And again, this is only a few. The number 1 is probably one of my most favorites because it's how I got started, how I made the most money, my first website, and that's affiliate marketing. This is where you have a product or a service that you use and you like it. And so on your website, you write an article about it, you recommend the product or service, you get a specific special link from the company that you can refer your audience to, and then you'll get a commission if they purchase after clicking on your specific link. And one of the things that I love about this, and we'll cover some pros and cons, but it's especially helpful if you already have products or if you already use a service that you really love and it pertains to the topic that you're writing about, it pertains to your blog, then you can write about it and you just go into details on what you like about it, what you don't like about it, be really honest about it, and then you can do that. A lot of people will get started with something like Amazon affiliate, and that's actually what I started with. If you're promoting physical products, that would be perfect. If you're promoting digital or online items, then you just want to search, and you can search for this. You can type in whatever product you want to see if they have an affiliate program and do a search on the product name and affiliate and see what Google brings back or what the search engines bring back. And they'll usually tell you if they have an affiliate program for their product or service. Now, there's some cool pros to this. It's easy to get started. You just, like I said, you go through the process, you sign up and you add that special link. If somebody clicks on it, and then they'll buy. It's even more easy to get started with Amazon because so many people know Amazon. They like, trust it. It's very good to get commissions from it. In fact, that's what my first site used, was mostly Amazon. The other cool thing is you don't have to create your own product. So you're just promoting what you see someone else have. Now, you don't necessarily need as much content on your site to make money with this one like the other ones. And we'll talk about that here in a minute. But as an example, when I'm talking about the first site that I sold, I ended up selling, I only had 67 blog posts on my site. And at the time that I sold it, actually, it was making about $1,000 a month. And I sold it for 5 figures. Once I got tired of the actual content and I was just ready to move on. We'll talk about that if you're one of those type of people as well. So really quick to get started, you don't have to write as much as you think. The cons are it can be really competitive. It's one of the reasons why I sold, was because more and more people were getting into the market that I was in and it was becoming a lot more competitive. The other con is the programs that you're a part of, they can shut down. If you're selling like individual products or individual affiliate programs, they can shut down at any time. You have no idea that they're going to shut down. So then you're stuck scrambling you have all this content that you wrote about this product that then they shut down. What are you going to do with that? And how are you going to make money with that? Or if they don't shut down, they can reduce commissions. In fact, Amazon has reduced commissions since I sold that site in 2018. They've reduced it twice and it's making like very little to what it used to make. And so a lot of people are very discouraged by that. So there's some pros and cons to affiliate marketing, but it's definitely something that if you're looking for proof of concept of if this can work, I still think that that's a really good way to get started. The next way to make money is by display ads. So display ads, you see it all the time. If you go to a news website or anything like that, you see ads everywhere. And you can do that as well. You see a lot of recipe sites also have this. It's just a really good way to earn money on a lot of traffic. The cool thing about this is you don't have to write or pre-sell items for people. Like with affiliate networks, you still have to kind of pre-sell. You're not selling, and that's not your job, but it is a different way of writing than just writing about whatever you want to write about and then putting ads on your site. And then, you're making money regardless of if anybody buys. And it's also a really good way to just monetize a lot of traffic. In fact, 6 months after I sold my first site, I got the itch and started up a new site. And I knew that I would probably do ads this time. I didn't do ads the first time, and I figured I would get into ads more. And that was my main focus, and it works really well. Now, some cons are you're going to have to create a lot of content. I told you with the affiliate site that I sold, there were about 67 blog posts to get that $1,000. Compare it to, and I was just looking in my stats last night in preparation for this, the same $1,000 to earn for ad revenue on my new site. It took me having 300 articles on there. Now, there's some caveats with that. I mean, the 300 blog posts that I put on, many of them were new. Maybe they hadn't been started ranking yet. But the fact of the matter is you're going to need a lot of content possibly to make this work for you. It also, another con is it can be a little annoying to your audience. Think about how you feel when you go to a website and you see a lot of ads. Depends on how they run it and how they are doing it, but it can be annoying to your audience, so keep that in mind. It can also slow down your site. Now, a lot of ad networks do a really good job of trying to keep the slowdown to a minimum, but it is still a possibility. And then another con is that the RPMs can fluctuate. RPMs are how they figure out what to pay you, and they pay you a certain amount per 1,000 page views or sessions, depending on which ad network that you go with. And the RPMs are typically anywhere from $10 to $100, and that's a huge range because it just depends on what your niche is about, what you write about, and the topics that you write about. But I would say on average, you could look at possibly between $15 to $30 per 1,000 page views or visits, again, depending on which ad network that you're going through. Now, most of the ad networks require at least 50,000 page views or sessions a month before you can be invited into it, but something like AdSense that will have a link in the show notes below, you can get started. Their requirements are a little bit different. They aren't hard and fast rules. They just simply want good content, your own content, not spammy, good looking site. But typically they're wanting you to wait about 6 months of writing content and things like that to have it. And some people are saying maybe 10,000 visits a month before you get started. But a really good way to add revenue to your site if you're already getting a lot of traffic. Now, moving on, we're going to go into more like direct ad sales. This is great if you have a very particular niche that you're working on, or say in a city or a particular location. This is really good for this because you're doing the same thing, but you're putting the ads directly on your site after negotiating it with a company or a business. And the cool thing about this is you have more control over the type of ads on your site. I didn't even mention that as a con and above. With the ad networks, you don't have as much control over what gets shown on your site. You can turn certain things off, but if the people who are running the ads aren't put in the correct category, then there might still be ads that you don't want running on your site. So with direct ad sales, you have complete control over that. You control who comes on your site. You can also charge higher amount for ad space. And then it's usually a better user experience because they're typically just images with links on the site or banners and things like that. Now, cons with direct ads is it can take a lot of time to negotiate deals. So if you're worrying about running your site, you might get, sidetracked with having to negotiate all these deals and going back and forth or finding them. It takes up a lot of time. The other thing is they can stop at any time. So very similar with the affiliate networks, they can just choose to not renew their ad agreement, and then you're out trying to scramble to do something else to take up that time. Now, the next one that I see a lot of recipe blogs or influencer blogs use this, sponsored blog posts. Sponsored blog posts is very similar to how sponsorships works. This is something that you see in sports, TV shows, or other industries. So basically a company, they'll pay you to represent their product on a blog post, they'll pay you to talk about it and promote it to your readers. And this is a really cool way to get a pretty big chunk of money, regardless of if it sells and regardless of how much ad impressions you get on your site. And you can get paid regardless of all of that. And you also usually get a higher amount. Now, the cons are when you read people who are doing income reports out there, they'll share income reports. Many of them love the amount that they're getting from the sponsorship blog posts, but they admit that it's a lot more work. And a lot of times, once these websites have gotten a little bit bigger, they're looking to reduce the sponsorship because it's just a lot of work. You might be seen as less trustworthy to your audience because you're doing these advertorials is basically what it is. And so a couple of things to keep in mind when looking at sponsorships. But for many of them, when they were just starting out and getting a small but growing community or audience, it worked out really well for them. So something to consider. Now, this last one is a really interesting one. And I think it's one that I'm kind of starting to go to, although I didn't realize it, but it's flipping websites. And flipping websites is very similar if you think about flipping real estate. You find an underperforming website, you purchase it at hopefully a discounted price, and then you apply a lot of methods or add all these streams of income that we're talking about to increase the overall revenue for the site. And then you sell it 3, 6, 12, 18 months down the road. Hopefully you'll sell it for a much bigger price. This is really cool for people who maybe you have rolling interests. So maybe you're not interested in any one thing, that you just want to, take it from start to, a huge business. I think that that's where I'm at. And so, I've sold one, I'm working on another one, and I'm not opposed to selling that eventually as well. With flipping websites, it's really cool because you already know that it's making money. With all of the other items that we've talked about, this was relying on you creating the content, relying on Google and the other search engines to rank your content, and relying on the money to start coming in. You're not guaranteed all that. You can do all this work up front, but you're not guaranteed that you're going to make money. When you buy one, it's already making money. However much that is, it depends on the price. The other cool thing is, like I said, you don't have to have or be passionate about one thing to have to work on it forever. I'm going to put this in more of an advanced level because some of the cons are some things you really need to think about or be concerned with, because you're not guaranteed to be able to improve a website. So just because you buy it, we have lofty goals to improve it, but a lot of things change. The algorithms on the search engines can change, or any of the other traffic that you might be getting from social media or Pinterest or things like that, it might change as well. And so whatever you're doing, it still might not work, and you're not guaranteed to grow the site like you're hoping. It can also be risky. So if you're not able to find buyers who will buy it once you're ready to sell, then you might be stuck with it. And then it also requires a significant amount of time and resources simply to research and find a potential website to buy. But there are plenty of people that this is what they do for a living. Or maybe you even just want to create the websites, get them to a certain level, 300, 600, 500, however much a month, and then you can sell them. You can flip them like that as well. I do think if you're going to do flipping websites, you will want to have done this a little bit so you know what works and what doesn't, so that you also know what you can add to improve the website. So those are the 5 main ones when you're monetizing your own blog content. But in future episodes, I'm actually going to interview some people who will share with you that you don't have to create a whole lot of content to then be making money with your site. And I'm excited to share those with you. Let me know in the comments below if there's one particular type or way of making money with your website that you want us to dive deeper in. And I'd be happy to do that. And if you're listening, you can tweet out at us at WPBeginner and let us know your thoughts as well. And if this got you excited to start your website, then make sure you watch this video next. I'll have it in the show notes. You can watch it if you're on YouTube. Is the next video up on how to start your very own blog. And I'll see you over there.